On guard.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
It's Southwest Bias coming to you live from Studio K, brought to you by our friends at Circle K. Don't forget to become an Inner Circle member today by downloading the Circle K app. And this morning I had a weird experience. My wife had bought me a brand new pair of Book Ones, the 1995 All-Star Book Ones for our anniversary. And I hadn't worn them yet. I was going to bring them to Vegas when we went, and I decided, you know what, I don't want to ruin these bad boys in Vegas. So I put them on this morning and kept going, this doesn't feel right. Did I put it on the wrong feet? And I kept switching them, showed my daughter. I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? Yeah, I had to turn to the 8-year-old. Turns out when they were sent from... I'll say it, Foot Locker, they sent me two right shoes. Two right shoes. Yeah, didn't quite make sense. Obviously didn't fit and didn't work together. And it got me thinking about the Suns' backcourt and wondering how this is all going to play out. We heard that Devin Booker was going to be point book. Or Devin Boinker. We heard Devin Booker was going to be point book. We heard Jalen Green's going to be point guard. And I just don't know what's going to work and what's going to fit. And that's been kind of the discourse around the internet, at least in Suns internet world, after Jordan Goodwin yesterday got claimed off waivers and Jared Butler was signed. The backcourt has been basically laid out now. It's those two guys. It's Jalen Green. It's Devin Booker. It's Grayson Allen. It's Colin Gillespie. And Colin Gillespie's obviously the backup ball handler. Jordan Goodwin can do both. Same with Butler. And it winds up leaving a lot of fans to wonder, what is this team doing? But I think that's operating under the wrong premise. I think that's operating under what would it have looked like under the last two coaches. Frank Vogel wasn't an offensive mind, and Kevin Young didn't quite figure out how to get things working right with Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant. Mike Budenholzer, which, as we've talked about, I don't think should have been on an NBA sideline last year for multiple reasons. And that offense never made any sense and didn't feel like there was anything innovative. It was dribble the ball up, nobody moves, dump it off to somebody for a one-on-one possession, and that was it. And I think people are overlooking the most important factor in this, that coaching's different this year, right? Coaching is Jordan Ott. And the system that he brought in that he's bringing in from Cleveland wasn't predicated on a true point guard. In fact, I'd argue there aren't true point guards in the NBA anymore. And if your answer is a almost 40 Chris Paul, keep trying, keep walking. That's not the reality here. Tyrese Halliburton's probably the closest we have now. The guy who just won MVP that was point guard for the NBA champions isn't a true point guard. He's a scoring guard because there are no true point guards left in the NBA. Basically, point guard is like putting retweets don't count as endorsement in your Twitter bio. It's just written there to be nice, right? It doesn't actually hold any weight. And putting down point guard for a player is so they can make pretty graphics on broadcast to show you a starting lineup and sell it with a sponsor attached to it. It doesn't exist anymore. What exists is offensive systems. What exists is movement and trying to create mismatches. And that's what Cleveland's offense did so well last year. Yeah, I know it's ironic that we've got the mortgage beef owners that don't like each other in Cleveland and Phoenix, and now the Suns may be taking elements of what Cleveland's offense was that got them to a 53-10 start last year. But if it works, it works, right? Can't beat them, which the Suns couldn't beat hardly anybody last year, and join them, right? Ashley in the chat says Trae Young, maybe. Darius Garland isn't a true point guard. Darius Garland's a combo guard.
I think Darius Garland's closer. He's definitely a combo guard.
Like, if we're talking true point, everybody says the Suns need that true point. They had Tyus Jones last year. That's about as true of a point guard as you can get. One of the best in assist-to-turnover ratio, a guy that's passed first. Guess what? Didn't work. Stood in the corner. I don't think that finding a guy that is a true point guard changes this. And people will be like, well, CP3, that was when Devin Booker at his best years. Okay, I don't think that is great. I don't think that holds water. I think if you want to say that he made a guy like DeAndre Ayton significantly better, yeah, he made DeAndre Ayton significantly better. Did he make the Twins better? Yeah. Did he take a little bit of the load off Devin Booker? Of course. But I think we're missing the fact that I think Devin Booker actually likes being in that position, right? I think that is what it is, right? I think that Devin Booker likes to have the ball in his hands. And regardless of who's listed at point guard, that's going to happen. Whether he brings the ball up or not, Devin Booker is the center of this offense and will be making decisions whether to shoot or pass in a large amount of it, right? But when you look at Cleveland's offense, Mitchell brought up the ball, Darius Garland brought up the ball, but the key was getting pressure on the rim rolling bigs, which you've solved that this year. You want to know why they went all in on centers? Because it's going to be important in this offense. Oso Ighodaro is going to play some power forward. We saw that's where they played him primarily in Summer League. You know why? Because he can roll the basket and he makes good decisions when it comes to passing. That rim rolling is going to be huge, whether it's on a lob or a guy coming from the dunker spot, right? And getting pressure on the rim is going to be a big part of this. And Devin Booker does it well. Jalen Green does it well. And Devin Booker can then work off screens to find ways to shoot as well. That's what the Cleveland Cavaliers did so well, was running actions, running multiple kind of sets and screens to get guys open. It was not a stagnant offense. And that's where we have seen the issue with the Suns, right? That's where over the last few years it's been problematic, is that the offense has been completely stagnant. You weren't running sets. You weren't running multiple actions along the way. You weren't trying to get pressure on the rim, right? And people that say that point book doesn't work, I struggle with that as well. Because Devin Booker was a top 10 in assists per game last year and was not bad in his turnovers. There were flaws offensively, and that's to not even take into account the defensive issues, right? If you have a bad defense, that hurts your offense. If you have a bad defense, it puts more pressure on your half-court offense. But the key is this year, better defense, even slightly better, and then ball movement. If you swing that ball around, you're going to find the mismatches. You double on Green or Booker at the top, you're going to find the mismatches. It's about quick movement. Get the ball out. And that's what Cleveland's offense did really well also. I mean, I get it. Jalen Green may not be otherworldly shooter. Nobody's going to be Kevin Durant in that situation here. But Jalen Green has enough offensive prowess to play that role as well. I don't think you're going to see either one of these guys have 8-9 assists a game. I think it's going to be very much like Cleveland, where Garland had 6.7 a game, Mitchell had 5, and it worked in the offense. I think Devin Booker can very much be Donovan Mitchell in that, and Jalen Green can be Darius Garland light. I'm not saying the Suns are going to be 53-10, but I'm at least looking at context clues here on how this offense could work. And I think there's a lot of pearl clutching about Devin Booker being a point guard, right? Because there aren't point guards. Why are we stuck in this mindset that it's 1994? I mean, it might be because the Suns have, over their franchise, usually had point guards be the best on the roster, or at least one of the two best. I mean, you go back to KJ, you look at Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, even Stephon Marbury, even though he was less of a true point guard. Goran Dragic was more of that traditional point guard, but it's not that anymore. And I hate positionless basketball because because it leads into a lot of other things. But I think this can work because you've got two guys that are going to force the defense to pay attention when they have the ball in their hand, right? And the key is going to be rotation and forcing the defense to have to make the right move. Putting the pressure on the defense to be the ones to decide how it's going to play. Are you going under that screen? How are you going to do that? How are you going to defend the rim rolling big or the guy crashing from the dunker spot? Who's guarding Grayson if he's out there shooting threes? There is so much that I think that Jordan Ott can bring to this offense that we have not seen. I think the pieces can work in the way that it's set up, right? Now, I get it. Efficiency, as Aaron Gorgel in the chat, I can't read it, but efficiency is going to be important for Jalen Green. And he's 23. Those things can improve. But this system can work. We've seen it work in Cleveland. We've seen other offenses be able to work when it's not predicated around a ball handler that does everything, that sets up an offense.
You know what I think part of it is that people look at Cleveland and obviously the efficiency, like Darius Garland was one of the most efficient shooters in the league last year. He shot like 47% from the field and like over 40% from three. But one of the things that people think of when they think of point guards and guards is size. And you look at these two guys and they don't look like guards. Devin Booker and Jalen Green are both way taller than your average point guard. And so people freak out. When you look at Cleveland, you see these two smaller guys. I think Garland's 6'2" and what is Mitchell 6'3". Yeah. Like,
I think it's a visual thing for sure. It fits a narrative that people have in their heads, right? But I certainly think that this can work. And I think that there is going to be ways that you can make this offense make more sense. And I think people are overlooking what they did with the center position. There's a reason they went all in on that, and a reason why that will be so important. And look, some of you may feel like Devin Booker and Jalen Green are two right shoes. I don't, because I know what those feel like because I put them on this morning, and I think Jalen Green and Devin Booker will fit a heck of a lot better. But maybe that's just my Southwest bias. And Dagoon in the chat thinks it's my Southwest bias. As he says, Espo always been the glass half full guy. I have a puddle of water on the table. That's the first time I've been accused of being the glass half full guy.
I love the puddle of water guy.
Hey, at least he's got water, right? He could just have an empty cup or a dry desk.
Not for long.
Fair. That is the mustache behind the Max, Shane Diefenbach. Shane, how are you? And do you think Devin Booker and Jalen Green can actually work?
I think that it's a total TBD. I mean, I think people that say that I think Aaron Gorgelu says it will never work. I want to say his name again. Aaron Gorgelu. That's very funny.
Aaron Gorgelu, yeah.
He says it'll never work, and I think that's ridiculous to say. But I also think it's ridiculous to say it's going to work. So you just have to wait and see. This is a team that is going through a ton of roster turnover, obviously. And not only are you changing the personnel, you're also changing the personnel on the court and how you're going to utilize certain positions. So I don't know. It's not a black or a white thing. It's not a yes or a no.
No, I think it could, right? I think it could work because this isn't the same constructs you were looking at. People just assume Devin Booker can't be that kind of guy because of he had a down year the last 2 years. How do you judge anybody in the last 2 years with this Suns team? Because statistics look great. It didn't work chemistry wise. I'm intrigued by the whole thing. And I think people are going to like Jalen Green a hell of a lot more here than they assume They will. By the way, Ashley Shaw in the chat phrasing. That's all I'm going to say. That's where I'm at. I think this backcourt could be intriguing.
I do like your point about them. There not being any real point guards anymore. That is, it's a true fact.
Like, they're just the true point guard that everybody has in their mind. The John Stocktons, the Mark Prices, the Steve Nashes just aren't there. The CP3 of his prime, that's just not in the NBA, and that's not the way offenses are predicated anymore.
They're endangered and they're going extinct in next year.
Yeah, and the NBA is fluid, so they may come back at some point, and the offenses may change again. But right now, we're not living in that world, right? And you could argue that even in the early 2000s, we weren't living in that world with Steve Francis and guys like that, Stephon Marbury. But we'll see how it plays out for the Suns. One other note I want to get to, non-Suns, Walter Nolan out with a calf injury, came out of Cardinals camp yesterday, first day. It concerns me because we've seen guys on this defense be severely slowed by injury in training camp. We've seen Darius Robinson, BJ Ojolari. We don't really know how serious that injury is. And that is what's concerning to me, is we don't know. And calf injuries can turn into other things, more severe if you rush them back. And those injuries take time to heal. And how much does that hurt Walter Nolan's growth by not having a training camp? Because everything we heard is the optimistic thing is him not playing in training camp. How does that impact what the Cardinals are trying to do? I think it helps that they've got a lot more depth on their defense this year, and in particular the defensive line, than they have in the last two. But it's obviously going to add a layer of difficulty in a season where your margins for error are slim. So we'll have to see what goes on with Walter Nolan and that fight for 53 for the Arizona Cardinals. But speaking of fights, it is Thursday, and that means it's time to throw down. On the other side of the break, our friend Derek Montilla stops by to get his ass whooped again. You're watching Southwest Bias. Mountain America Credit Union, you're going to get double points. And what does that mean to you? It means your dollar is going to stretch further this summer. When you use that Mountain America credit card, you're getting 2 times the points, and then you can use those points towards things like travel, towards things like gift cards, to things like event tickets. You want to go see a show, you want to go see a concert, you want to go see wrestling, I guess. You can use your points on event tickets even. There are so many things that you can do with your Mountain America Credit Union points, and you're getting double of them until July 31st. So you've got a week left to get in on this and cash in on those double points. I highly recommend it because Mountain America Credit Union is dedicated to their over 1 million customers, right? 1 million members. There are hundreds of branches throughout the West, and you're going to want to visit macu.com/double for details. Loans on approved credit can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. And if you are looking for the ultimate in summer fun, they've got you covered. Whether you want to stay at the resort, hang out at the pool, or you want to go to their amazing sports book, you can. It's one of the biggest in Arizona, and you can hang out there, watch the games, gamble on UFC fights, sporting events, golf, whatever you want, whatever your thing is. NFL preseason, if you're a real sicko and you want to bet on 3rd and 4th string guys playing football, they got you covered at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. What was that?
Don't knock it till you try it.
I have tried it, and I'll knock it. Nah, it's actually enjoyable. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for more details, and head out there. Wild Horse Pass is my favorite, but they've got 4 locations you'll love.
Let's do this thing, Espo.
Let's do it. Throwdown Thursday.
Please match up. Espo versus Derek.
We do this.
It's for good reason. I don't want to sit next to you while we do this. Yeah,
I do smell this morning.
You do.
So
Absolutely.
I'll throw some
Gentlemen,
barbs at me. What do you got for us,
welcome
Keith?
to another Throwdown Thursday.
It's called a travesty, a sham, and a mockery. It's a Travis sham mockery is what the show is.
I'm 3-0.
I'm just here to lose.
Or is it 2-0?
I think it's
2-0.
Is it 2? It's
2-0.
going to be 3-0 in about 10 minutes.
Regardless of what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for your main event of the evening. This fight is sanctioned by the Diefenbach Committee. We've actually heard we've gotten some feedback, and the time has been increased to 2 minutes.
Oh, no.
Per subject today.
All right.
So you guys each have 2 minutes to talk, which means we will be going to overtime.
Maybe. I might be able to finish my argument in 30 seconds and still be able.
Okay.
We'll find out.
So 3 topics today. We'll start with you, Derek, because you've been second both times, I think, in the first one. So we'll start with you.
All right.
You have 2 minutes. The topic is, should the Diamondbacks trade Eugenio Suarez? Your time starts now.
While there are so many emotional feelings as to why they shouldn't trade Gino, and as crazy as it is, once again in sports, it's crazy for any team to be talking about trading one of the best offensive players in their sport at the trade deadline. Even though they're on the outside looking in, the Diamondbacks very much still have a chance to make a run. They have the second best OPS in all of baseball, just behind the New York Yankees, and the reason for that is because of Gino Suarez. Not only is Gino an incredible baseball player, but it goes far beyond that. It goes into how he is in the clubhouse, and the impact that losing Gino could have is immeasurable. I think it would be right up there with Paul Goldschmidt, even though he doesn't have the tenure that Goldie had while he was here. What I will say, though, is that it would almost be reckless at this point for this franchise, with how bad their pitching staff is, to not trade Gino with how high his value is. It couldn't be any higher for any available baseball player. And the fact is that the Diamondbacks need to not only worry about trying to compete for the second half of this year, but they also need to do so next year. And if you ask how can they do that without Gino, quite frankly, it's because they need to trade Gino for pitching. They need to get some pitching in here, not only to help this team this season, but they are in a predicament next year with the losses potentially of Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and all of the injuries that they have. So right now, as unfortunate as it is, as great of a guy as Gino is, it's just too hard to not trade him with how high his value is. And again, it's one of those things that the Diamondbacks could pull what the Detroit Tigers did last year and be a little bit of a seller here at the trade deadline, but get pieces back that they desperately need that can help them remain competitive and make a push in the second half to make the playoffs. I think that's still very possible. And while I would love to see Gino remain in a Diamondbacks jersey, I can't help but think it would be a bit reckless to not trade him, considering his value is absolutely through the roof right now at this point in his career.
The problem is, I understand that he's playing well and that puts a premium on his value, but he's a free agent. He's in his 30s after this year. And I do not know that value that you're going to get back for a rental is going to be enough to justify it, especially if you think that they need to make a playoff push this year and be competitive. I don't think that trading Gino is the answer. I think you've got to look at how can you be a seller in other places to fortify your bullpen. Is it Josh Naylor? Is it dipping into your farm system a little bit and trading somebody there to get some bullpen arms? If success is predicated, on trying to make the playoffs this year, trying to figure that out, then I think you got to keep Gino and look elsewhere on who you deal, right? Because to me, this may be your one shot at trying to figure out whether, Ken Kendrick is going to spend next year. If you don't make a playoff run, I think we're in for a handful of years where this team trims payroll, doesn't have the horses to compete in NL West, and we're sitting back at, well, it'll be nice someday to be a good baseball team. I think you need to figure out a way to win this year and keep Gino to be able to do that. I think that's your only path to it. I'd look at trading Naylor, maybe even look at trading Zach Gallen or, not Merrill because he's been too good, but looking at the farm system, because you can't go into rebuild mode again. You can't do it. And I think that's where you're headed. If you lose this year, Torrey's not going to be around if you don't make the playoffs at the end of this year with how bad things have gone. I don't think he'll be there. I don't think that they're going to spend money next year. I think they need to find a way to keep Gino, trade other people.
All right, that is the end of round 1 of Throwdown Thursday. Chat, just as a reminder, I will be putting a poll in the chat, in the YouTube chat, for you to vote on the winner of today's episode of Throwdown Thursday.
This is not contentious enough. There has not been enough insults.
Well, here we go. Espo,
Yes.
you are on the clock. The topic is eating pizza with a fork and a knife. Your time starts right now.
I think context matters here, but I'm going to say you shouldn't, right? I mean, if you've got a good piece of pizza, that thing is going to have that oil. That thing's going to have toppings where you just want to get in there, and your hands have got to be a part of that experience. If they wanted a pizza to be eaten with a fork and knife, they would have put it in a bowl. They wouldn't have put it on something that's mobile, right? If you're afraid to get your hands dirty, get one of those paper plates, one of those white paper plates, and fold it with it like you do in New York, right? Nobody wants Chicago deep dish pizza where you have no choice but to eat it with a fork and knife, because essentially you're eating a pie. You're not eating pizza. If you have a good slice of pizza, it is handheld for a reason. You want to go in and grab that thing right out of the box and eat your food. You don't want to have to wait to go find a fork and a knife and a plate and stuff a napkin in your shirt and go fancy and hold your thumb up or your pinky up while you're drinking with it. No, you want to hop in there and be American, be red-blooded, and eat your pizza like a man or a woman that chooses to eat their pizza that way too. You want to do that because that is the appropriate way to eat pizza. And if you got a fork and knife, you are not doing it right. And if you're in Chicago eating pizza with a fork and a knife, get off this stream, because it's for real people from Phoenix and not from Chicago, except for my wife, who can stay because I'll be in trouble if I tell her to leave. Pizza should be eaten with your hands.
Wow. All right, Derek, your time starts now.
Well, while I am not here to judge where you eat pizza or how you eat it, what I will say is there's nothing wrong with eating pizza with a knife and a fork, just like there's nothing wrong with eating anything you want in life with a knife and a fork. If you don't want to get your hands dirty while eating a pizza, I am not going to shame you at all for eating a pizza in such a way. But if you want to get on the topic of Chicago deep dish pizzas, I will absolutely die on this hill of saying that they are amazing, and there is no reason to shun people for wanting to eat them. I don't care if you want to call it a pie. It is a pie. It's called a pizza pie. That's why they call it that. Some call it a casserole. I call it delicious is what I call it. There's a reason why places like Lou Malnati's and Pequod's Pizza are famous, internationally known, and it is because deep dish pizza rules. And yeah, sometimes you do have to eat it with a knife and a fork. I go to a place in Las Vegas that will serve you a chicken parmesan stuffed inside of a pizza, and I am absolutely going to eat that with a knife and a fork. And I'm not going to take any judgment from this man over here who apparently needs a hazmat suit in order for him to eat a pizza, right? There are fine establishments all around here in Arizona, and yes, sometimes we might be the summer home of people that live in Chicago, but thanks to those wonderful people, including your wife, we get to enjoy all of this delicious deep dish pizza right here in Arizona. Stop throwing pizza boxes at me. Right here in Arizona, because these establishments come here, because this is the summer home for people from Chicago. So again, to recap, deep dish pizza, awesome. Eating it with fork and knife, fine. I don't care if you don't want to get your hands dirty. I'm not going to say you're un-American for doing it. My God, don't listen to this judgmental man. Do what you want, live your life the way you want, and enjoy your pizza however you want.
You heard it here first. Derek doesn't know how to use his hands. We all feel sorry for Mrs. Mayor. And we're going to head to overtime, because sometimes in life you work hard, but you still have overtime.
All right.
And Shane, if you put that comment up that my wife put, you are fired.
Get it up there on the screen.
You are fired if that goes up on the screen.
I mean, Derek, you can read it.
Yeah, Tracy says Espo, who loves deep dish and eats ribs with a fork. You fraud! Fraud!
The question wasn't, do you eat ribs with a fork or do you like deep dish? I said deep dish isn't pizza. Yeah. It's just not. Yeah. Pizza's meant for hands. Somebody in the chat said, why do they slice it if you're not supposed to?
We got to get going on. We got other questions.
All right.
What's the next
last one? We usually don't do open-ended questions here. We usually do yes or no's, right or wrongs, black and whites. This is not what this is. Today, the last one.
This is philosophical.
Sure. There's been a lot of talk that people are actually predicting that we will know if aliens exist by this probe by the time Christmas rolls around. I don't know if you guys have been following this. Very interesting stuff.
Interesting word in probe with aliens.
Well, there's a probe.
I know.
Anyway, Derek, you'll go first here. What do aliens look like? Starting now.
What do aliens look like? I think we can't even begin to imagine what aliens look like because we are carbon-based life forms and we think everything is going to be a gray alien with big eyes and a big head and look like something from South Park. I think aliens, quite frankly, are like gaseous beings or liquid beings, something we can't even really wrap our mind around. And that's the reason why, as we've put our little photographs or little cameras out there in space, we haven't been able to find anything. Why? Because we're looking for us and we're looking for things from this planet. We are mammals from the planet Earth. We have no idea what the other species and aliens and life forms in this galaxy or in the galaxies that exist out there are frankly made of, right? So that's the reason why I think that when we find out what aliens actually are, they're going to not be anything we imagined they would be. But you know what? At the end of the day, those aliens, they're going to think we should trade Geno Suarez, and they're also going to love deep dish pizza. And those aliens, no matter if they're gaseous, might in fact eat that pizza with fork and knife. I wouldn't judge them for doing so. But regardless of what they are or what they're comprised of, I think that if any of them choose to root for Arizona sports, the one thing we will have in common is we're all going to be miserable together. I can see the rest of my time.
Oh, so Derek thinks they're gaseous beings because it takes one to know one, and he's full of hot air when it comes to this. We've searched for life forms throughout our own galaxy, and we've never actually found any because there's no planet quite like Earth that sustains life. I actually think aliens are going to be quite like us. I actually think we're going to be surprised to find out they're not these ridiculous looking creatures with multiple arms and heads the size of, inflatable footballs that I think this is going to be something very similar to us. Now, maybe different colors based on atmosphere, maybe slight variations, but I think life is actually going to be very similar to what it is here on Earth because we know all the kind of environments that life can't really survive on. We've seen it. And if it, I find it hard to believe that if it doesn't work in our universe, that we're going to find some beings that actually were capable of developing in a atmosphere that it was unlike ours. No, I think aliens are going to be very, very much like you and I in different ways, slight variations, but I think we're going to be surprised when we find out. And I also think that we may never actually see aliens because they'd have to be so significantly more advanced than us technologically. Maybe it's possible. Maybe they've been around much longer than us, but I think it's going to be very difficult for us to truly prove that there's alien life forms because I'm not sure that they could get here yet, but I think people love the idea of it.
I love the idea of them looking like just looks like Gerald,
but blue.
No, they just look like they came from the Jersey Shore. They're like a little bit.
So disappointing, wouldn't it? If they were just us, wouldn't that be disappointing? More of us. I don't want that.
Have you not realized that most of this world and universe is just disappointing when we find out things?
That's very true.
Somebody says Wemby. I could see Wemby being.
No, for sure. They walk amongst us right now. I'm sure.
Chat, it is in the poll, or it is in the chat. The poll is in the chat. Vote on your winner. You have about 30 more seconds. I'm going to give my spiel on what I think they look like.
I want to hear it.
Please.
I agree with Derek. I think that there's something that we don't really comprehend. Well, no, let's play a game. What is your favorite movie or art form representation of what aliens look like? I'll go first. Mine is definitely from Arrival. Like them being, what are they, heptapods or whatever they're called?
Yeah.
Definitely my favorite one.
Yeah, that's probably where that comes from. I know, like, for me personally, it's any alien from the show Futurama, quite frankly. Mostly the ones that are just there to destroy us and destroy everything out there in the galaxy.
I love Marvin the Martian. I
Mhm.
love what's his face? I'm blanking on his name, but from the Jetsons that
Mhm.
look like Craig Counsell.
Yeah.
You know, I
That look
love
like
those.
Craig Counsell. That's
My own wife is a traitor. She just said vote for Derek.
Wow.
Wow. Just because I took a shot at Chicago, excuse for pizza.
You don't come for Chicago
I
pizza.
love it.
Expect
I
to get
enjoy
away
it.
with
It's
that.
not pizza.
Yeah.
Ending the
pizza.
poll in 3. Oh my God, we have a runoff. It's 50-50.
Oh.
Come on, guys. Remember what he said.
remember-
You're not American based on how you eat your
remember
pizza.
where it says Southwest Bias with Espo. All right.
The next vote decides it all, and Derek is the winner.
One vote. One vote. Why do I feel like? Why do I feel like Shane just used the
I did not.
PHNX Sports account
You can't.
to push it over the edge?
You can't vote on your own account.
I feel like my wife waited till the very end and said,
Let's go.
Derek, hey, you're still losing. It's still 2-1
Yeah, I know.
right
Where's
now.
my crown? I want my crown, Shane. Give me my crown.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, give it to me. It's a Travis mockery, but I am the winner today of this Travis mockery.
I love your shirt because everything is pro
Everything is
wrestling,
pro wrestling.
including this show on Thursdays. Big thanks to, not him. Thank you for being here, but not thank you to you. Big thanks to the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach, for pushing all the buttons and making us look good, except for those questions that made me lose. You can follow him at Shane Deef. You can follow the show at PHNX_sports. You can follow him at Cap Caveman with a K. You can follow me at Espo. And remember, just because there's a PG next to somebody's name doesn't mean that they're going to handle the ball all the time. Ahoy, hoy!
We all silly like the mayor.